Yes again guys and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo, where we last left off. We were at this agree with Lily or trust my own judgment. I gave it some thought, and who knows Hanako better than anyone? It would be Lily. Trusting my own judgment, I will go in a blind path. I think so, because even though we like hang out with Hanako a lot, we still don't know much about her. And the only one who knows more about Hanako than anyone is Lily, so I gotta agree with her. I don't want to admit it, but she may have a point. Something else bugs me though. And you tried to amend this? Wait, our outing into the city? Quite astute. I thought that it might help if I dragged both of you out of Yamago and into the wider world. I am thankful you became closer for it though. But she noticed that. I suppose she may well have been paying attention to us, and her hearing is incredibly good. Quite likely good enough to have picked up what we were talking about if she tried. Yeah. Oh shit, what was it? This sounds more and more like you were manipulating us. Silence. It's a harsh way of putting it, but I have no intention of stepping back from those words. I'm sorry, I was just worried about you. It's fine. I guess there are more important things anyway. It's not a total surprise that she'd do such a thing. Her motherly nature can be slightly overbearing at times, but she does have the best of intentions. So, you think I should think about myself more instead of trying to cater to Hanako? That largely sum it up again. Again, I'm sorry for not telling you this in a clearer way before going behind your back. I know I am at least as guilty of being overprotective of Hanako as you, but I fear that you are neglecting yourself in your efforts to give Hanako happiness. You really think Hanako will be okay? She isn't as fragile as you think. I don't know exactly what experiences she lived through, or what feelings she has in her mind, but she has managed to work her way through them until now. It's also my hope that giving her a little space will allow her to decide what she truly wants for herself, and give her the initiative to reach out for it. Please have faith in Hanako, that's all I ask. I guess I'll think about it for a while. That's good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. I know that at times you may doubt your relationship to Hanako, but she does. Willie cuts herself off and takes a moment to reconsider her words. Please keep in mind that I wouldn't have befriended you if I hadn't thought you a fundamentally good person. You're a good friend, both to myself and to Hanako. Thank you. Yeah, that helps. We share some small talk to try to lighten the atmosphere, but it feels very stilted. There's a lot I don't know about Lily's stay in Scotland, but after such a heavy subject, I want to be alone for a bit to think. After a few minutes, we end up saying our goodbyes and we set my phone on the desk. Compared to Hanako's situation, mine feels utterly mundane. I still have both my parents, I had a reasonably normal childhood, and unlike many in Yamaku, my condition isn't immediately visible to the public. But then again, isn't this just an attempt to justify the way I've been acting towards her? That may well be what our pasts were like. But when it comes to the future, I still have no idea what I want to do. In school, I've just concentrated on each day's work, and I've put off more and more things to cater to Hanako. I recall the words Muto told me after Hanako's breakdown about the purpose of Yamaku and my education. In hindsight, he was probably trying to push exactly the same thing. Just what have I been doing the time since my heart attack? If I ever did manage to get Hanako out of her room and to open up, what then? I look out of my dormitory window as the sun slowly sets. It's a nice sight, but what I really savor is the quiet as the students return to their dormitory rooms. All I want to do now is think. I'm not sure how much time I have, but I want to work out where I'll go from here. Oh, I have to press it? Maybe because I'm in a Korean locale, it kind of messed up the sequences or something. Since talking to Lily yesterday, I wanted to try and move on from the listlessness I felt ever since coming to Yamaku. But even if I tried to concentrate on the book in front of me, Hanako's empty seat at the back of a classroom looms larger than life. Every time I start getting focused, my eyes flick over to her desk again and my mind starts spinning. Once more, my eyes drift over to it, but this time my vision is blocked by a certain other classmate. Oh, hey Mickey. You're so fine, you're so fine, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey Mickey. Hey Mickey. Maybe you just have lunch. I can hear your stomach growling from my desk. I heard my head drop in disappointment. She seems to take some amusement from my reaction and hops onto my desk. Her grin as she sits on it reminds me of the Cheshire cat. So, what you working on? Some math. I have a decent handle on it, but I just wanted to revise. Oh really? Let me see that. Before I can object, she grabs my mathematics book with her hand. She scans the page I was on, holding it open. Opening it open with the one hand she has, her left arm sitting uselessly on her lap. In my time here, Jamaica, I noticed that the other students have a wide range of adjustments to their disabilities. On a purely practical level, Miki is one of those that seems to have some trouble. The stump on her left arm tends to be either hanging by her side, slipped into her pocket, or otherwise put out of the way. Sometimes she has a difficult time doing common tasks, which makes her visibly quite frustrated. I feel a little bad for thinking this way, but I'm thankful that Hanako and I don't have disabilities affecting our freedom of movement to that extent. Then again, if Miki's problems worsened, at least she wouldn't have a real possibility of dying. My attention is refocused on the thumb through the few pages, skimming their contents. With such casual interest in the subject matter, it's clear by now that she won't be any help. I'm guessing you're not too interested in this stuff. Screw math, it's boring as hell. She puts the book back in front of me with indifference. Her eyes move to the notebook beside it that I've been working out practice equations on. Wait, you're actually able to work that stuff out? Yeah. Wow, I never talked to a computer with legs before. Thanks, I think. At least I'm doing better in this than history. Think it's worth asking the librarian for help? I heard she's shooting for uni. Oh, Yuuko? Maybe. I don't know what she wants to study though. So what about you? Got anything you're thinking of doing after you graduate? Me? Nah, not really. Just enjoying it while it lasts. She looks a little awkward when asked about her future, and absent-mindedly rubs her left forearm. I kinda want to ask her about it, but I don't think I know her well enough to do so. The conversation peters out, and I lean back in my chair, giving up the prospect of studying. Miki noticed my tired expression and looks oddly serious. Thinking about Hanako? Is that obvious? You've been glancing at her seat, and you've been pretty quiet. Not too hard to connect the dots. I'm just worried about her. Yeah, I can see why you would be. She can get weird sometimes. She sounds put off, but I can't blame her. Hanako was a hard person to interact with before she warmed up to me. Even with Lily around to help, I haven't known her for that long either, so some of her habits would still be unknown to me. My face becomes troubled. If I hadn't developed feelings for her, this would be at least a little easier to deal with. I mean, no offense, she isn't a bad person, I know that much. I know, I didn't take it that way. It's just harder to deal with then. With when, well, you know, you have feelings for someone. Yeah, I can imagine that. It's hard to forget something like what happened to her during class too. I wish she hadn't reminded me of that. She just confirmed that it was clearly noticed by others in the room as well. Come on, don't get that down. She's done this before, and you gotta wait for it. You gotta wait it out. She locks herself in her room and acts like an empty husk of a person for a sizable amount of time ever since she entered Yamago, if not before then as well. And I'm not supposed to be concerned about that? Well, I might think that, but there's nothing I can do. I can't force her to come out, and she does see the therapist, so it's not like she isn't getting any help for her issues. Maybe it's natural to think that way when you're so powerless to help someone. That's just the way she is, and you just have to deal with it. As I mull things over, I notice a movement out of the corner of my eye. I glance to see who it is, and I end up doing a double take. Sure enough, it's Hanako. She walks through the door just as she would any normal school day, and begins to move towards her seat in her usual silent and humble manner. She looks at me for a moment before blushing and looking away in embarrassment, which makes me realize that I was staring at her. I feel sorry for that, but not doing it is hard after all that's happened. The girl sitting on my desk looks to me, grinning. See? Your sweetheart's back already. What did I tell ya? You be quiet. It might be only meant as a joke, but she hits close enough to make me quite uncomfortable. As we talk, someone calls Miki's name from the door. He jumps down from her vantage point on my desk before turning to me. Gotta go, so remember to eat sometime, will ya? Remember to eat sometime, yeah. Fine, I will. See ya. She gives a casual salute before jogging over to the door, where a male student in gym uniform is waiting for her, probably someone from the track and field club. Seizing the opportunity, I get up and make my way to Hanako's desk. Hello. Hi, Hanako. What's up? Nothing. Maybe talking to her this soon after she came back to class was a bad move. Want to come with me and grab something from the cafeteria? I'm pretty hungry. But I thought you were studying. Studying can wait. Turning up for class after all this time must have taken some courage for Hanako. So the least I can do is stay with her. That's just the way she is, and you just have to deal with it. It's the way Miki and probably the class as a whole views Hanako. I can do more for her though. I want to do more for her. After being distracted by Miki, I don't think I'm going to get any work done. Come on, let's go. She hesitates, but eventually gets up and joins me as we begin walking. These may be small steps for her, but the fact that she's finally out of her room of her own volition lifts a large weight off my shoulders. My pen busily scrawls into a slowly filling... What? I think there was supposed to be an eye catch that I accidentally skipped. Because now we're at the rest tea shop. This is not the cafeteria. My other hand remains on the page of reference book I borrowed from the library, marking my spot as my eye flickers to and fro. As I work, I occasionally mark red circles or underlines into the photocopied sheets of paper that line the table in front of me. Wanting to change the scenery from the library and to avoid the distractions of the classroom, I decided to make use of the Shanghai for some quiet study time. So I just skipped the cafeteria, I think. I don't know if that's a bug or I just did like that. It ended up being nice and quiet. As expected. Wait, did I miss something maybe? It's just the eye catch. So it was just an eye catch. Okay, skip ahead. I ended up being nice and quiet as expected. And being able to get coffee while I study is a nice bonus. Hanako may have returned to her noble self since she came out of her room, but I've done quite the opposite. Daily routine may have returned to us, but I feel as if I'm a different person. Maybe I'm not. It's only been a few days after all, since I decided I wanted to try and get out of the rut I found myself in after my accident. But I want to change, and I'm now actively working towards that goal. Or at least I would like to think that I am. Ugh, this is impossible. Brute forcing this isn't going to work. What's more, I have another piece of writing that I have to do after this. I fear that's going to be no easier. I know. I look up with a mild surprise to the soft and tentative voice. Yuuko stands in the head of the table with a damp towel in hand, clearly having taken the opportunity to clean the tables while no other patrons were around. She looks curious, her eyes as much as my work as on me. What's the matter? I was just wondering what sort of work you were having so much trouble with. Oh, it's just history. I'm fine with science and math, so I'm trying to get my other subjects up to par. Yuuko looks positively delighted at this development. I feel like I just chose the right answers on some big quiz show. Oh, I think I can help you with that. If you don't mind, of course. I briefly considered turning down the offer in order to not cause her too much trouble, but she looked too excited for this for me to not do it. But she looked too excited for me to do it. It would mean to shoot her down like that after such a reaction. If you're willing to help, I'd really appreciate it. She claps her hands together and quickly deposits her towel on the counter, before returning and taking a seat across from me. I take my notebook off the top of the textbook and hand it over to her to peruse. So, you're studying the Edo period. Yeah, I'm not really much good at this though. She takes the textbooks and reads a few pages from the random section near the middle of for a bit, but the aura of enthusiasm she'd been radiating previously is rapidly sapping away. I'm guessing this isn't kind of history you were expecting. Unfortunately not. My main area is European history, especially in the classical era. Sorry. She looks a bit downcast, but as she carefully closes the book and lays it back down on the table, her face perks up again. Would you like another cup of coffee? Oh, yeah, sure. I reach forward to get my book back as Yuuko gets up, takes my mug, and slowly walks to the counter to make another brew. As usual, she's absolutely silent as she does this. Every ounce of her concentration is focused on not tripping over or dropping the plain white mug. I take the opportunity to lay back and relax for a bit. The hum of the coffee machine filling the otherwise quiet air. It's small details like that which makes me realize how much I've come to appreciate the little things in life. The peace and quiet of the local town, the discipline and order of Yamaku, the green of the trees that were so rare in my home city, the relaxed pace at which the aging residents live their lives. Everything feels so certain, so comforting. I can feel myself beginning to nod off when the sound of the mug coming to rest on the table grabs my attention. It feels like it arrived not a moment too soon. Yuuko takes her previous seat once again as I pick myself up and bring a hand around the mug to check its temperature. It's just a little too hot to drink right away, so I blow on it a little. It's a shame you don't like history all that much. I sort of guessed you might be more into science. How so? I'm Asian, isn't it? Oh wait, we're all Asians! You've nearly read out the science fiction section of the library already. It wasn't hard to notice. You do have a good point there. Well, what can I say? You've pegged me just about right. You sound like you really take an interest in history though, especially considering how specific you were about it. You study in that area or something? Go on digs overseas? She giggles nervously at the thought. I'd like to visit the Mediterranean sometime and see the old architecture and art for myself. But I don't think I could trust myself to handle such delicate things. I'm saving up to formally study it in university. Although I also read up on it and whenever I have free time outside of work. So Miki was right about her university aspirations, considering how she fares as a waitress. A more theoretical path may suit Yuuko better. It's nice to hear that she has some ambitions though, considering how hard she works. I'll nod and take a careful sip of my coffee. By now it's cooled to the right temperature, so I begin to drink while keeping an eye on the book below, trying to read at the same time. A few minutes pass quietly, Yuuko looking out the window and watching the world go by while I have my coffee and study. A movement catches my eye, and I look up to see Yuuko smiling and waving to someone outside. Following her gaze, surprisingly reveals the someone to be Hanako. She's looking at us from the side of the street, across from where we were. Her usually all too visible timidity is largely absent, probably thanks to there being so few people around right now. Evidently, she decides to join us. After a little wave, she gives a quick glance up and down the street and crosses towards the side of the cafe's arm. Bing bang 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 bang. The familiar doorbell to the Shanghai rings out as Hanako enters and makes her way to the table we're sitting at. Hello. Good afternoon. Hi Hanako, what's up? Nothing. Just going for a walk since the weather was nice. Yeah, I get what you mean. But I decided to study here instead of the library. It's comfortable in here thanks to that, better than the sometimes quite stuffy library. I look to Yuuko, who nods in response. It's nice. It's just a shame that summer can't last forever. Oh wait, sorry, would you like a drink? Hanako shakes her head. Thankfully, it's enough to calm Yuuko back down. How are you going with studying? Okay, ish. Oh yeah, have you talked with Lily? I'm interested too. How is she doing? She's enjoying it, I think. I think that's all we're going to get out of her. Being around Yuuko is tensing her up. It would be so nice to travel to Scotland. Green fields, castles, lovely small towns, men in kilts, interesting history. I can't say I see the appeal of men in kilts myself. It does seem like a picturesque place though. As we talk, the jingling of the doorbell rings again. Hanako is startled, noticing Yuuko's panicked expression at the prospect that she might leave customers to wait a handful of seconds due to her chatter with us. Pew! Yuuko gives us a quick bow, then hastily skitters over and greets the new customers, an elderly man and his wife. I watch her for a bit, craning my head around to get a good view. Hanako is staring at me with her one visible eye. She averts her head in embarrassment as I turn to make eye contact. I was just thinking that it's nice to have ambitions for the future. Yuuko was telling me a little about her university aspirations before. Oh, it's a shame she wasn't so neurotic and overworked. I think she could have really be a happy person. As much as I like to play host to Hanako and entertain her for a bit, I do need to study as well, to be honest. I don't think that distraction from Yuuko helped either. Sorry if I'm a bit distracted. I need to try to get this done, otherwise I'm going to flunk the history exams pretty hard. I'm left running my hands through my hair in frustration. That letter needs doing as well. Once I get back to my dormitory room, I hope I have more luck with that than this. Damn! What with? Oh, I was going to write to Hanako. Right now, though, this is more important. All I've done is rattle myself. I can't focus on the work in front of me when my stomach is slowly turning at the prospect of actually attempting to write her back after all this time. I force myself to concentrate on the book, picking up a pen once I have a quick sip of coffee. After a few seconds, Hanako stops silently, watching me and leans back in her seat, relaxing as much as she ever seems to be able to, looking out the window to pass the time. We stay like this for a long time before leaving for our dormitories together. I'm surprised she had the patience to wait me out.
Hanako's letter lies on the desk beside the blank sheet of lined paper and an unused envelope. The tapping on my pen is the only thing that is blah blah blah.
I'm saving here. I need a break for all that talking. Save the game. But I'll make another part after this. I'll give it 5 minutes. So I'm gonna leave you guys for a high five. A rock? Wait. There's something behind the window. Well, look at his eyes. I didn't see anything.